calling it, boys and girls? We're going to do math. We're going to continue with measuring. Last week we were measuring using our cubes. Okay, we measured length. What does length tell us? Length tells us how long something is. And if we want to know how high or how tall something is, we'll measure the height. Today we're going to use standard units of measure. Standards means inches or centimeters. We're going to focus on inches. And remember, I showed you some of the different tools that can be used. A ruler. Okay, you have one in your bin and you're going to use it today. Okay. The long stick, I called it a yard stick, not because it comes from the yard, because remember I showed you how 3 of the inch rulers, each inch ruler is called a foot, not because it's the size of your foot, but we call 12 inches 1 foot. So if this is 3 of those, say I'm measuring it, that equals 3 feet. Okay, and then I also showed you a measuring tape. That pulls out something that's really long or really tall. Okay, and I also showed you this type of measuring tape that is used for sewing. Okay, and I'm going to use this one today, hoping that you can see the numbers on them. So we're going to measure some length and height using an inch ruler. Okay, so I'll start with this comb that I have hanging. Okay, it's going horizontal, so we're measuring the length. Now, I don't have a measuring frame, so what do? Well, I can take my inch ruler and put it right on the end. Okay, you don't start at the number 1 because from the end to the number 1 is 1 inch. Okay, so you take the end of your ruler and go to the end of the item you're measuring, just like you did with your cubes, and you want to get it as close as you can. If you can't get an exact inch number, you would say it's about. About means it's very close to that number. So you're going to pick the number it is the closest to for your measurement. So this comb it's in between the 7 and the 8. So I could say it is 7.5 inches long because I'm measuring length. Okay, or I could say it is about 7 inches, or I could say it is about 8 inches. If it's not exact, we say about. Okay, I've got another item to measure. So I'm showing you so you know how to do yours later. Okay, I will measure, since this is something that usually stands up, I'm going to measure the height, how tall the glue stick is. I can get it to stand. Let's see. One moment. Tape. Okay, tape. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to go up. Again, we're not starting right at the number 1. We start at the end of the ruler. Okay, so this one, we're measuring height, how high it is, how tall it is between 4 and 5, a little closer to the 5. So I'm going to say the glue stick is about 5 inches, because today we're using metric units. So it is 5 inches, about 5 inches tall, because I measured the height. Okay, I'm going to measure the length of the eraser. I'll hold it. Okay, again, I'm going to start at the end. Maybe I'll make a measuring frame so you can see it better. On one end. Okay, there's my measuring frame. Okay, so, can you see where it's at? Stop at 6. So, it is 6 inches. Remember, you say what you're measuring with, inches. So, the eraser is exactly 6 inches long because we measured the length. And now I'll measure a paintbrush. We'll see how long, see the length of the paintbrush. Stay. Let's go this way. Okay, I'll make a measuring frame. One end. And I count the bristles too, that's part of the brush. Okay. Starting at the end of my ruler. Oops, opening. Okay, it's at exactly 13. So the paintbrush, we say, is 13 inches long because we're measuring length. 13 inches long. And the way I would write that is 13. And I don't have to write the whole word inches. I can write I-N, the word in, with a period. That means I'm shortening a longer word. The period means I'm making that word shorter. So the paintbrush is 13 inches 13 inches long. Let's do a straw. Okay, let's compare them. Okay, we see that the paintbrush is longer, so you want to take an estimate using what you know. We know the paintbrush is 13 inches long, so the straw is going to be more or less. Right, less, because it's shorter. Let's see how much less. Okay, I'll make a measuring frame. Find my one. Start at the end, not on the one. Okay, we're at, can you see it? 9 inches long. So the straw is 9 inches long because we measured length. So it is less than the paintbrush. And we saw that because we could see, when we compared, the paintbrush was longer. How about an envelope? Okay, let's check. Our paintbrush was 13 inches. Our straw was 9 inches long. Okay, by comparing, you can see that the straw is longer than the envelope. So, is our measurement going to be more or less than the 9 inches of the straw? Right, the straw is longer, so it's going to be less. Let's see how much less. Okay, I'll make a measuring frame. Okay. Put it up. Okay, I'm going to start at the end and go to the other end. And it is more than 8. It's between 8 and 9. So we would say it's about 8.5 inches long. So it's almost 9. So we could say about 8 inches, or we could say the envelope is about 9 inches because it is between the two. But we would use the word about because it's not exact. And I'm going to measure one more. You know what? I brought the oatmeal out so we can measure what? What do you think? Length or height? It stands like this. It's a cylinder. Okay, right. Height, because we're going to measure how high it is. So I'll start at the bottom. And I'll go up. I have to hold it there. Go up. And, can you see? We are at almost 10. So we would say it is about 10 inches. Since we're measuring height, we would say tall. The oatmeal is about, very close, to 10 inches tall. Okay, now I'm going to do a box of tissues because I'm going to measure the length and the height. Okay, remember, you line it up on the end. Hold it there. Well, yours will stay because it's a ruler. And can you see what it's at? So the length of the tissue box is 9 inches long because we're measuring length. 9 inches long. So the tissue box, draw the box, tissue box, is 9 inches. I'm going to write long because we measured the length. Now let's see the height. You think the height will be more or less than the length? Right, less, because you can see it's a shorter space. Again, since we're measuring height, we're going to measure from the bottom up. Can you see? It's past the 3. It's between 3 and 4. So we would say the height of the tissue box is about, well, we can say about, I'll write the word about, 3 inches or 4 inches high, because we're talking about the height of it. Okay, so what you're going to do with your ruler that you have, this one top, is do this paper. Miss Sweeney made a measuring frame for you to start, and you're going to go to the end. Remember, you don't start at the 1, you start at the end of your ruler. So this has a picture of a pen. So you're going to measure the items on the paper. Then later you're going to measure actual items. So line it up, follow your ruler down to the end, and this is about 4 inches long because we're measuring length. Then when you look at the next one, you're going to say, well, that is shorter than the pen. So it's going to be less than 4 inches long. So again, line it up on the end, and it is about 3 inches long. So you'll do that for the pen, the key, the comb, the eraser, a toothbrush on the paper, and a paper clip. Do all the measurements of these items on the paper. Okay, another paper that you will do already has an inch ruler on it. So all you need to do is look at the inch ruler. They lined up caterpillars. You can draw a line down to show you where the measurement will end. And you will write, it says about already, so it might not be exact. You write the number it is closest to, okay? Okay, and then you'll also do this one where you're going through your house to find actual items. You will measure, don't measure the one on the paper, use real items. A crayon, 3 cubes together, a marker, a paper clip, an eraser. It doesn't have to be a chalkboard eraser like Miss Sweeney's. It can be the one from your pencil box, your little pink one, and you're going to measure the height of a book. So this one is actual items. Okay, so you're going to do this one, the caterpillar one, and an actual item one, and then there is one on Seesaw for you to use, and it already has a ruler on there. You just have to read the ruler to see where it ends so you can write the length of each item. All right, boys and girls, I know you're going to have fun measuring. I always had fun doing measurement, and I have fun teaching it too. All right, I'll see you in a little while for religion.